Hello everyone, watch this review here with a look at the Marvel Select Thanos. As always, just some really incredible packaging here, which is why these things always make awesome display pieces mint on card. Now for you Marvel Legends collectors, Thanos is one of the characters who hasn't received a figure to date in the line, so that makes him kind of an essential pickup. Absolutely love this little sticker here. It's totally going to end up on a bookshelf or something after I'm done opening this. We also have this really cool headshot on the side. Again, just absolutely marvelous packaging. I say marvelous because it's a Marvel Select. I thought it was funny. You probably won't. A little bit of a read up here, explaining the character who most of us have most come to closely associate with the Infinity Gems because of his prominent role in the Infinity Gauntlet storyline and such. And generally the character does come with an Infinity Gauntlet, usually an alternate piece. Hold on a second and I'll get him out of pack. And here we have Thanos out of pack, and again, what packaging this is. The Marvel Legends always has additional art on the inside of the box, which you can't see until you actually take the character out, especially this portion here, which would be completely obscured, but I just love the heavy inclusion of actual artwork associated with the characters and his allies and enemies and stuff. Now, before I just jump any further, I should mention that these things always have a ton of twisty ties, and, rather than untie them, there is something that can help. It's called a wire clipper. Snap, snap. Things come right off. I picked it up because I was getting into plastic models like the Gundams for a while. And it's purple because that was the cheapest one available. Paid $7 for it, I think, over at Michael's. Or less than that, I think I had a coupon. But yeah, it's definitely a pretty solid investment for the amount of time you end up saving. Especially considering Thanos alone had something like 5 things on him. But enough about this, which totally blends in with his complexion. Thanos comes with a few accessories here, including the Infinity Gauntlet with all the gems attached, as well as Death, his little paramour. I recall that he was trying to destroy a life or something to help get her attention. Now, if you saw the figure in box, you'll notice that this isn't, this is a removable piece. And underneath you have a skull. Of course, for general purposes, I'll probably leave the human face on because I'm worried about losing it, and this is an easier way to keep track of it. Of course, the human face kind of doesn't jive with the fact, no matter what, she has skeletal arms and everything, so, Now the hand or glove comes off just by... Hold on a second. Alright, so I believe that you're supposed to just be able to pull the glove off and then replace it with the other one, but I can't seem to pull it off, physically and literally in this case. Which, needless to say, is rather embarrassing. And it's just really tight on there. I figure at some point I'll figure out some way to switch the two. But, first off, size-wise, the Marvel Select line does work on a somewhat larger scale. But at the same time, it's not like the character is horrendously large, like the Red Hulk, who's absolutely gigantic. I think he's kind of like a reasonable height for a oversized character. Here he is next to the Marvel Select first appearance Spider-Man, who he of course completely towers over, and I'm okay with that. What I'm not okay with is my inability to remove that glove, but I'll figure that eventually. I guess before I get into him, I should just mention the fact that if you can't notice on camera, or for whatever reason, there is some pretty heavy dark shadowing on the Death. I guess it's more of a statue than a figure because it doesn't really do anything, but it's kind of a purple tone with heavy shadowing lines. As for Thanos himself, let me just bring the little Marvel Universe one that came out relatively recently for a comparison. Just because that's the in thing to do. Now obviously you get a ton of more details on the Marvel Select version, and the additional bits do fit a lot nicer. I mean, one of the things I didn't quite like about this was the looseness of his mantle up here. The fact that his little tunic bottom, whatever, just moves around a bunch. Also the fact that if you notice they don't have the line and stuff here. But this is definitely kind of sculpted more evenly into place. It is a separate bit though, so when I say sculpted into place, it's not technically sculpted into place. It's attached after the fact and is a looser material. This mantle is also kind of the same case where it's a separate bit, but it's really thicker plastic. It's sort of glued directly onto the body so it doesn't flop around. And again, you know, the fact that you have the little upturn raises at the edges means that he will be able to get his arms up a lot further, and you know, it doesn't have as much area to sort of impede movement. In terms of color, for whatever reason, the blue that was used for the lower tunic portion appears to be a little glossier than the ones used for the rest of the body. That might just be because the muscle and everything has shadowing applied, whereas there's not a lot of shadowing for this portion, or at least it's not as significant. But the gold parts are a lot glossier. The blue has really mild gloss to it, but again, just doesn't pop as much as the sort of pretzel gold used for the rest of the body. I'm actually generally not a fan of the sort of pretzely gold, but it does look good here because it sort of has multiple hues. I've seen other figures where they've used and it just comes out looking kind of horrendous, and you know, this basically is the color that the character did have. A quick run through of articulation. Also, I just want to mention the fact that he kind of permanently looks crouched forward just because of the way the body is sculpted, whereas pecs are kind of descending forward a bit. You know, the stomach sort of pulled in, which is kind of weird. I don't know, it might just be me though, but in terms of articulation, we have a point of rotation at the wrist. You know, that, or at the upper glove portion of the forearm. The forearm that's supposed to remove, but I can't seem to get it out. You have a pin over here. You'll hear a little ratcheting noise. That's because the joint is kind of reinforced, I believe, so it doesn't like flop down as easily. Fortunately, due to my tinkering, I believe it kind of weakened the one at the shoulder. But we have a point of rotation at the bicep. You'll notice that there's a lighter blue portion here. I don't know if they just missed the paint. Kind of the same portion there, like they might cast it in the blue plastic, then apply the additional shadowing after, and whatever doesn't get the spray, you know, appears that color. I'm not 100% sure though. Head rotates also as a little up-down motion. Not a tremendous amount, just due to the sculpt. A very nice head sculpt. You know, there's a lot of detail and stuff. I mean, I also was pretty impressed by the one that we got from the Marvel Universe line. That face seems to have a lot more personality. It's got like this whole half grimace and stuff, whereas this is just sort of a more standard expression. I do actually prefer the eyes quite a bit more, where you have these little bright pupils and the rest of the eye is black, as opposed to these more all white eyes. It's a little hard to see. Then of course you actually have detailing for this port here. The waist rotates. This is where you can actually see it's a separate piece that was attached in between the two layers. Down at the hip we have a physical ball. It's got you know, full range of motion to it, in addition to having point of rotation at the upper thigh. Single joint knee. Then down here at the ankle we have another portion of movement. No pivot though, and nothing at the boot. I mean, with a design like this, you always expect that the boots will be able to move too, but then, sometimes they don't. So yeah, this has been a look at the Marvel Select Thanos. A very impressive looking figure, a good amount of detail, and of course he does fill in a hole sort of left by both Toy Biz and Hasbro so far, who haven't brought us a Thanos just yet, although I imagine he will probably appear as a Build-A-Figure at some point or something. But yeah, till next time, folks.